Okay. Next item, Annual Secretary of the Board Report. Mrs. Atkinson will present the Annual Secretary of the Board Report for approval by the board.
I just wanted Kindra to be back up here because she's in charge of both D and E. D, you've already pretty much approved with the passage of the budget or the tax rate. The ASBR just fills in the numbers. So that does need formal approval, and she can give further explanation to item E while she's up there too. So D, we need action on.
Okay, so the annual Secretary of the Board report starts on page 253 and goes to 278. So for those of you that are familiar with that report, you'll notice that it's about 8 or 10 pages longer than usual. That is because that it's due to the new coding structure that we put in place beginning of last fiscal year. Kind of culminates in this same data. Okay, let me start over. Annual Secretary of the Board report. Sorry, Dr. Les. It's a culmination and a reporting of all of our financial data from last fiscal year. It's reported and due to the Department of Education by August 15th, so like today. So that was filed about a week ago, and so we're all good there. This report then shows our ending fund balances, where we actually officially ended the year. And you'll notice that we ended the year at 32.3% fund balance for operating fund. I would also like to point out on page 253, did end up doing a $1,250,000 transfer from the general fund to the capital projects fund. That is $750,000 more than we had originally budgeted last year. So the way we ended up in the operating fund, Dr. Zalis and I had a discussion, and knowing that we have some upcoming capital projects ahead of us, that would be a good way to reinvest in the district.
We want to make sure that money used in that case is for long-term. We don't commit to ongoing expenses with one-time transfers like that. So it could be used to offset the impact of a future bond issue by reinvesting in the district's facility plan and offsetting what would be required to accomplish one of those 7 items we have out on the survey. The floor in Fund 4 is $3 million, so this gives us some money to put toward that. That's what we've done over the past 7 building projects or so. If we're not going to be able to do a zero debt service levy increase, we've maxed that, but we'll know more about that when we talk with our financial advisors in October. That's the plan.
So this same report will, of course, be reviewed by our auditors, again, when they're here, August 28th. It will also be used by DESE for creating our annual report card that'll be available later this school year. And it will basically allow them to break out our expenditures per pupil, per building, all of that I think you all have learned about due to the SF law, Every Student Success Act. So. With those ending fund balances, the actual ending fund balances, I don't have it in your board packet, but I did update the beginning fund balances for fiscal year 20. Our original fund balance percentage budgeted for FY20 is 22.16%. With those updated beginning balances, we're at 22.44%. Any questions on the annual Secretary of the Board report?
Just a comment that we did end up the year in the black.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we did not have a deficit in our operating
I was
fund.
pointing at RD. You got that. So your headline on your next article will be school districts run efficiently well.
Are you going to write it for us?
It's a direct quote. Dr. Zalis. And you
I
need
think
us
he's
to-
been in enough meetings that I realize that ending fund balance at 32 is different than the budgeted 22, but at the time that these things happen, you've heard this kind of as a broken record. We have revenues that are uncertain at a time that we have to make certain decisions about salaries for staff, which is 80% of our budget. So we underestimate our revenues and overestimate our expenditures, but we're even carrying more teachers this year in programs, and we're able to add staff. And none of the other metrics that we've used, i.e. teacher salaries in comparison to others, or anything on our strategic plan suffers as a result of that cushion. So I'm conservative ultra-conservative, and you can criticize me for that, but I don't know many other ways to do that, so I wish I was that way at home. I'm not in charge.
I'm not
Have
in
that
charge.
kinda-
You just threw Liz under the bus.
No, she's the boss. So, anyway,
Said on TV.
we're pleased, yeah, we're pleased where we are. Yeah.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the annual Secretary of the Board report.
I'll make the motion to approve the annual Secretary of the Board report.
Thanks, Jane.
I'll second it.
Thanks, Jim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. You're just gonna stay there, huh?
I guess I am.
Reciprocal deposits contracts is what we were talking about just a minute ago. Mrs. Atkinson will present this contract for the board to approve.
Okay, so that contract is on pages 279 to 294 of your board packet. And again, the audit committee and I did get together and meet with Mr. Sandy Hutchinson over at Citizens Bank regarding this contract. We were approached by the bank in early July, asking us to consider entering into this agreement. What this, or the way our funds are currently safeguarded is not through the FDIC. That's limited to $250,000 per depositor. So the bank buys securities to safeguard our funds. What that has done is tied up their ability to reinvest in the local community. There's a different option out there now that is available and certainly legal. We did have the policy rewritten to allow us to do this, and that is the reciprocal deposits. So the way that works is essentially $250,000 chunks of our money will be deposited to other banks. In return, those banks will send the same amount of money to Citizens Bank to deposit. And so all of our money in $250,000 increments will then be safeguarded and secured through the FDIC. We will notice no difference. We have been guaranteed to experience the same interest rates. The attorneys, again, looked at the contract, rewrote our policy. They are also comfortable with this.
Any
Mr. Becker, did you have anything else to add for that?
Just that over the course of the last 2 years, the laws changed both at the federal level and at the state to authorize this sort of arrangement. So it's good for the local community. So our money is still safeguarded and in compliance with the laws. So that's what we are proposing to do.
Any idea on how many different deposits and how many different banks would be involved?
We don't. What we will do, that will kind of depend upon how much we decide to, we won't have all of our money out. I guess I didn't say that. We will leave, I think we decided around 10 to 15 million here, secured here with securities. The rest is what would be deposited out. And of course, that will vary pretty much on a daily basis. It will be a constant flow of in and out with our funds, depending on our balances in the bank.
Any other questions for Kindra? Anything else to add, Jim?
No. We are modifying our agreement with this arrangement, so I would suggest that the motion state that so that they know that we're not replacing our agreement. So,
Reasonable.
okay,
Yes.
I'll make the motion then, since Carla's not here, that we enter into this agreement as presented.
In a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Thank you.